Director and founder of the Frida Cinema. Welcome everyone. Okay, so first, raise your hand if you are a Cool World fan. Right on. Okay, raise your hand if you love this movie but you've never seen it on the big screen. Love it, that's so exciting. And this is, by the way, a beautifully remastered edition. I mean, the movie's important enough to remaster, so it says a lot, right? Who's never seen Cool World? Right on. Okay, I invite you to experience this movie and you'll be curious to know after what you think. I'll tell you a few things, a few little interesting factoids about the movie you're about to watch. It is by Ralph Bakshi. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with Ralph Bakshi, he did the very famous Fritz the Cat, Wizards, Coonskin. He was an animator who made these very racy, very R-rated films and envisioned Cool World as an R-rated horror film with the synopsis being, and I'll read this and you will not find this in this movie, a horror film about a cartoon and human having a child that would destroy both worlds. That's how this started. He was looking at Tracy Lords, for those of you who know who that is, to be the female lead. Ultimately, Kim Basinger stepped in, big name, and convinced Paramount that she wanted to make a movie that could show children at hospitals. This is a true story. So Paramount completely retooled the film to give it a PG-13 rating. And Ralph Bakshi got really furious, stormed off the set, but ultimately came back to finish it. It was a failure. It grossed $14 million against a $28 million budget. The soundtrack, you just heard one song from it, was a huge hit, whereas the movie wasn't. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of the 90s. And I was talking to Trevor, our programmer, and I was like, might this be the lowest Rotten Tomato rating of a film we've ever played here in 11 years? So we did some research. The Room, 24%. Over the Top, 32%. That was my last indefensive pick. Showgirls, 23%. Clifford with Martin Short, 18%. Cool World has a 4%. Yes, and we are proud to present it here at the Frida Cinema. Because it is art, right? And art should be seen and discussed. So obviously those of you who are here, like myself, who adore this film, I quite love this film. We already know we love it, but I really am gonna wanna know if after the movie, those of you who've never seen it, what you think. It is definitely a time capsule to a very specific time in the 1990s, a very specific sound of music and scene that speaks to me and speaks to where I was in the 90s. But it's just, I think that's part of what I love about this movie is its soundtrack and the various bands that you're gonna hear. But it is, as you're watching it, I invite you to take it in and ask yourself this question as you dialogue with this film. Who is this film for? For me, is the right answer, but is this for kids? I mean, clearly Paramount, PG-13, kids in hospitals. Would you show this to a child at a hospital? Especially if they're like near death. Would you show this film to them at a hospital? There are times where it is raunchy and you're like, oh, it's for adults. And then it just stops itself every time from going that step too far. It is an experience, but it's been fun. This In Defense of series, basically that's what we do. We play a lot of great films. We play a lot of cult films, but every once in a while we're sitting around and we're talking about some film that we just really love and that we know that there are fans of, that we also know wasn't received very positively by critics, but people would die for. So we've had Clifford in the mix, we had Howard the Duck in the mix, we've had Over the Top, we've had some great ones. We're trying really hard to get Thumbelina by Don Bluth, as that's one that someone in our staff feels very strongly about. So just curious before we start, just for fun, shout out the name of a movie that you think has been unjustly raked through the coals over time that people need to go back and reconsider.
Jennifer's Body.
Jennifer's Body is actually a huge hit for us here. We were like playing it like once a year at this point. Great pick, great movie, and it's definitely been re-examined, but that's a really good, it was a flop when it came out, and people have really reconsidered it. What's that?
I feel like it's in a cult classic.
Yeah, it's become a cult classic for sure, but it's I don't think people were ready for it now, and then people are saying, oh, no, actually it was a really, really smart, ahead of its time film. We had Karen Kasama, the director, here a couple of days ago, and we were talking about it a little bit afterwards, because she wasn't here for Jennifer's Body, but the majority of the people that were here because they're Jennifer Body's fans, so it's pretty cool. Any others, just out of sheer curiosity? Naked Lunch, great one. Cronenberg, yeah? The Sound of Music. Who hates the sound of music in this audience? How dare you, sir?
I saw it when I was a kid.
You know, there might be one more, just curious.
Plant 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, Plan 9 from Outer Space. That movie's so terrible. But you gotta love it. I love Plan 9 from Outer Space, but it was never a film where I'm like, you know, this film is good, damn it. It might be. I don't know. Do you think that it's like a good film?
What, this one?
Plan 9 from Outer Space. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that came from you, Carter, because you have the mask on. Did you? No, Plan 9 from Outer Space. Like, I love it, but do you defend it as like a good film worthy of reconsideration?
Probably.
You can.
No, not really.
Okay, but no, there might be some who do. So anyway, everyone, thank you so much for coming. Really enjoyed Cool World. I'm so excited to be able to share it here with you, and especially for you fans out there, especially if you've never seen it on the big screen, because I got to see it when it first came out, and it was just so much fun on the big screen to listen to it and see it. And so enjoy, and thank you very much. Enjoy it.